And so, as I was saying, it's clear that this problem with these entities with pedophilia, and I'm gonna make sure that I put that in their faces as much as I can, because they want to block out this reality.
Come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material called Project Flickr. Some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the personal electronic device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say...
So there was a bill prompted because there was so much child porn being downloaded using the computers given to them by the DoD, using DoD network. This is reality. This is what is happening. The same entities developing this technology that can alter your mind in disgusting ways actually are people feel pedophile. The entities feel pedophile. Pedophilia is an issue to the point where a bill was introduced for that purpose, to try to limit the amount of child porn they download using the computers given to them by the DoD. That is real. In part one, that's what I was bringing up. And by the way, when they try to talk about what I did as a child, like I said, they exaggerate. What I did to myself is something that I did to myself as a kid. I don't need to go into details. It's something I did to myself. Now, it was still inappropriate. Now, the exaggeration goes from molesting to the level now to raping. Keep exaggerating more and more. Matter of fact, they were trying to mess with me in part one because I was saying that how they like even exaggerating for more and more, from molesting to raping. It's like, oh, so you started trying to say like, no, so you molest? No. What I did as a child is something I did to myself as a kid. When I was this age, I did something to myself. As a child that's just developing, not fully mentally there as a kid is. And this impulsive act that never happened again. I'll talk about that age of a kid, just impulsiveness of something that never happened again, to the point where it was completely forgotten. It was such a, and I know it's not appropriate, but as a child, it meant so nothing to me that I completely forgot about it. Also showing the level of childlike I was at that age. And you have to, and while this trash are working for governmental entities that are filled with pedophiles, where they introduce a bill to limit the amount of child porn being downloaded using the computers given to them by the DoD. This bill was prompted because of this ranking that you heard. And what this program does to children, in this program, the way they are torturing children, I mean, whole family get hit.
Type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss and cancer.
You know, this is a whole family. Listen to the age of these kids.
In El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old.
All this, the kids and the parents got tortured in the way she described. You heard the sexual torture. You heard what they do to babies. It's so nasty. And you have this trash trying to live this fantasy of a reality. Working for government entities, failed pedophile. The program torture women and children. Oh, here, just to clarify, in case of women having. This is what this woman literally said, and she's right.
Worked for the Defense Department. She worked on the global mapping of that system. And when I told her what I was going through, all she could say was, "You're on your own." Well, I figured that out. If you would please, I urge you to pass this. I realize you can't enforce it, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
There's a lot of women being tortured. A lot of women used as test subject. That's why they're being tortured. A lot of women being utilized as guinea pigs. So for me, at this point, because the validation is that this trash are trash. Whatever spectrum like they try to present themselves as, it's over. The facade is destroyed. You're not going to make yourself look like anything else by participating in a program that torture even babies. Now for me, what they're saying is there's going to be a horrible torture, which I understand. Can you imagine exposing this trash in this level? As they try to present themselves as this like protectors and avengers, and you pay now and this and that, when they're here torturing babies, torturing women, rewind the thought process in these obvious ways, changing the way you think. They try to do everything possible to make you accepting of it when you have validation of that's surreal, where there's whole bills even to limit the amount of child porn, these pedophiles over there downloading using computers given to them by the DoD. The same entities out here with the technology that can rewire your brain. And by the way, in the part 1, you see that baby, the father, you know what killed him? What caused his death? Mass shootings are happening because of that. Listen to this. This man, everywhere, wherever he was going, which is very typical as a target individual, your whole ecosystem consists of degrading you. They call you pedophile, they call you all this, and defamations, all sorts. Everywhere you go. You go to a supermarket, somebody can say something. You go to a bank, somebody can say something. You go to your neighbor's gonna say something. Everywhere. That's why I knew he was a target individual. Exactly. And they say the same exact same thing. Sometimes they just, when they have like this directed conversation, you're gonna hear them. Like this is what this woman says here. Here. This. She talks about her mother when she's at work, and what they say things, crazy things to her. She didn't repeat exactly, but I know that's what she meant. It's probably similar to what this meant. It's probably the same thing that this man's experience.
Another thing you can do is stay strong and focus on the people you love. You know, I was lucky enough to have my mother who was going through the same thing that I was going through. They started saying all kind of crazy stuff to her jobs.
So they do these things. You know what these men end up doing? One of the largest mass shooting that happened last year, and actually in the United States period, is the top 10. He killed 18 people. And this is a man that was capable of doing crazy things. He was trained to in the army for a long time. So this is the result of what happened, because he lost his mind and ended up doing this.
In me last week, the New York Times, I'm Michael O'Rourke. This is a daily. Today, the mass shooting that occurred in me last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
And the reason why, you see, the father died there, and this baby that they forced me to have sexual stimulation toward to degrade me, he died because he was one of the 18 people who died. The 18 people who died. And now, because I donated a little bit of money, and I keep this picture, because every time they force me to get stimulation, like, this is nasty low life. They even stimulated me toward this baby. And the father died. She will never know her father, her biological father. He died because this trash out here pushing people into insanity and causing mass shootings. They'll get theirs. But today they're God's and they're going to enjoy it. So to all my target individuals, stay strong and see this low life for what they are.